Another major revolution that's currently brewing in India is in the space of what we call ONDC, a new project from the government, which is actually going to revolutionize the way digital infrastructure goods are going to become possible. And the objective for this is several. One is to enhance the level of bottom of the pyramid participation in the entire digital commerce space. So I have a few slides that I want to share and walk you through it, and let's quickly get to that. Okay, so if you look at this carefully, there is the Indian digital economy currently is made up of about um, 800 to 850 million population that is currently capable of internet access. Is currently actually accessing it through about 700 to 750 million odd smartphones that are currently being used. And some specific data only is being picked up here just to put the whole context in perspective. If you look at those that are capable of and actually using social media on a daily basis, about 400 to 450 million. Again, all this data has come from government as well as TRAI and other reports. You can get all the resources which I've pointed out later on. It is actually from a site which is the ONDC site called ondc.org. And I'll get to that a little later in more detail. Of this, if you look at the actual number of people that are participating in digital payments on a daily basis, multiple times, like you and I, whether you're making a payment to a cab or a ticket or even transferring funds between each other, all of that, that number is about 300 to 350 million. So you can see that in multiple levels, the current digital economy is already attaining scale. And get, you'll find out really how intense this is moving forward. The total MSME base in India is about 100 million. And this is important because I will tell you where the lacuna are in terms of our current model. If you look at the retail transactions, people that are actually buying from Amazon or Flipkart or any existing e-commerce site and on a daily basis, actually participating to some extent on the e-commerce transactions, about 160 to 190 million. You see how the pyramid is shaping up in terms of getting narrower on the top. And of this 160 to 190 million, the real power users, that could be individuals like you and I, who are transacting on these platforms multiple times a day, picking up stuff, maybe returning with ease if it's not okay, refunds, stuff like that. That number is actually very small. If you notice, it's only about 10 to 15 million. So all the way from about 800, 850 million, look at how narrow the number has become. It's only about 10 to 15 million, which are what we call the power users. And you move forward, the actual MSMEs, which is the micro, small, and medium enterprises in this commerce space, is only about 5%. So the 100 million MSMEs here that are pointed out is actually down to only about 5%. About 5 to 5.5 million or so are actually participating in this. The question is, what is happening to the rest? And what are the reasons they're not participating? What is the reason that level has remained low? Is there a chance that they will remain low unless we do something about this? These are the kind of questions that are being brought up from the current model. And if you look at the here's another important piece that will actually kind of stir the pot a little more. The total B2B retail space on an annual basis in India, in that B2B retail commerce is about, the traditional one is about 750 billion, just the B2B part. And the part that has actually moved onto commerce is only about 6.5 to 7%. So the question is, why is a large part of the retail piece untouched by digital commerce? Are they not getting the benefits? And if not, why not? What can we do to get there? And some of those reasons are already apparent. One is lack of trust. Another is maybe lack of cataloging, the whole process of how to get your product or service onto the commerce platform. Some of the platform owners may have created levels of qualification standards and so on. So there are multiple issues that are causing this gap. And part of the reason ONDC is being considered is actually to make sure that these gaps are closed. All right, so let me go quickly to another piece that I want to share here in terms of what are the big factors that are actually causing this adoption to have gone so well so far. In this picture, you actually see two parts. I should have actually made two separate pictures, but I've actually put them together in lack of space and time. If you look at the right side, it is actually current levels of adoption that we've successfully reached, which is a good illustration of the scale at which our current digital public infrastructure already is. And on the left, these are key drivers that are getting us, have gotten us till here, and where we will go moving forward. So we'll start on the left. Um, so if you look at the innovation funding, I think it's a very big factor that has caused this. And the VC funding, the risk capital that we talk about, is actually only about 14 billion or so, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's gone 5x. It's about 65 billion as of last year, which is a significant number. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is India is now a default destination for innovation capital, for funding for startups, as well as a lot of people who actually successfully exited post their successful startup venture and who perhaps cash rich are so convinced about this model that they're coming back and putting money into the circuit again, which is what is causing this cycle of renewed capital. It's a very big thing. There is therefore a lot of credit in the system at a certain point, but not at all points. We'll come to that later. Democratization of data, 5G and other technology waves. So 4G is already very well established and entrenched in the country. 5G is beginning to happen according to the big two service providers. We know that by December, at least the top 2,200 cities, towns, villages will actually be 5G covered. And a lot of AI, conversational AI, point of sale AI, these kinds of technologies are beginning to happen, which is a good sign, which is also showing that India as such is not just a consumer, is also able to deploy technologies as required. We'll now move to the right side to show some of these illustrations about what is the level of scale at which we established. Look at the top box. It actually shows that 50 million merchants are actually on digital commerce. And this is not to be mistaken for the MSME, that gap. I'm talking about the larger and even the mid-sized ones for reasonably big. And that number is already 50 million in terms of those that are actively participating in digital commerce. 300 million users, we already talked about that. And this combined entities have actually generated about $1.5 trillion, T as in trillion dollars, in the last 12 months alone between January and December of 2022. And the total business, the total transactions, both individual as well as business, has been about 74, 75 billion transactions or so. Most of it is UPI. Now, this is a staggering indication, guys, about why India is actually now the fastest growing fintech market in the world, because they've not only developed homegrown tech solutions, the full stack, but we've already deployed it at scale and and has become a model now for rest of the emerging as well as established markets to look and adopt. So no wonder that multiple countries are already in discussions with government of India, with different agencies inside the country to see how they could either franchise or actually uh, license this technology and the stack and deploy it for their own use. If you look at the non financial models, for example, that have been proven to be stable at scale, is CoWIN. For example, CoWIN is actually the world's largest healthcare platform now that has been deployed, and this has proven that this is actually working. And 2.2 billion vaccine administrations have been done through this portal, which is a staggering number. So this is the kind of stuff that we've been seeing, and again, FASTag is an established, almost 100% digital. 96% of the tolls are all digital now. 140 million digital users and so on. So this is a good indication of how some of the technologies if done right can be built to scale and built to population scale. Remember, this is a totally different challenge altogether, and we have been able to do that. So this is a good illustration of how some of our solutions are able to achieve scale. And going by what is currently happening, we believe, as according to some of these reports, as well as those of us in the tracking industry, that by 2030 we should have another 500 million users actively using the digital commerce platform, as well as the next 100 million MSMEs that will become participants in this. So you can imagine how much larger the economy will become at that point with this level of participation. I also want to take you to another um, model here, but this is actually the model from the ONDC, this is entirely property of the ONDC.org. just want to show you here that this is a very typical framework. And this framework is, something that we understand. So the base at the bottom here is actually the connectivity network, which is the mobile network, 4G/5G, coming up soon with 6G, the Wi-Fi networks, through which you may call the transport protocols, through which the actual connectivity happens. Just about this is the actual identification layer. So if you're a participant in this, you're a user or a business, you will have your Aadhaar or um, uh, KYC, eKYC type identification mechanism already defined and standardized. And if you're a business, it will be TIN or your GSTIN, which is already identification modules that have been identified, standardized, and you have to be compliant. About this are the already established public open utilities established defined by the government, which is, for example, UPI is one of those interfaces. The DigiLocker, eSign, Aadhaar. These are the frameworks or the open utilities that are already published and defined through the API. API access will be given to third parties that want to use this for authentication and so on. So you can see how the model is already, framework is already standardized, published, and all the interfaces in between are open and established. The ONDC model will sit on top of this, and so you can see the next layer, which is the standards and the protocols layer, which is the aggregation, account aggregators, farmer ID, eKYC for farmers, for cattle, for logistics, all of those frameworks and the protocols are already set. Above this are the government applications that are currently available, applications by the government, which is starting from financial services to logistics, mobility, education, library, agriculture. So all of these models are already deployed and at scale available. So there is no reason to hesitate now as we move into the next generation of services, which is really what ONDC is all about. So ONDC will now create those unlimited options for both a seller or a buyer. And as long as you're connected through the ONDC platform, no matter which application, which seller or buyer app you're a part of, as long as those apps are connected to the ONDC platform, you will have a seamless connectivity and multiple options available for every transaction. Whether you want to looking to, let's say, book a family holiday from A to B, and you want to find out your EV charging station network, what are possible, how do I pay for them, what is the homestay or whatever you're going to book. All of those options are becoming open now, available with unlimited options for any buyer or seller, irrespective of which selling app or buying app you're connected through. As long as those apps are connected to the ONDC platform, you will have unlimited access as a seller to multiple buyers, as a buyer to multiple options. So this is how the entire system is. Uh, it's a brilliant vision, and I think the momentum has been set. It looks great. As far as you are concerned, if you're a technology developer or a buyer seller, and you're looking to create innovation in the digital commerce space, do not miss this revolution. For all details, go to ondc.org. All the documentation is available, free. It's open, including the McKinsey platform, McKinsey Knowledge Partner report that recently came out. All of those reports are available. Do pick them up and enhance your understanding, figure out what the gaps are for you to participate and where your technology can actually make a difference. And if you like to get more information on anything new and innovative happening and to figure out if you want a third party view, I'd be happy to do that. Please add those comments on the comment section below. I'll be happy to take care of that. And for all support services in your lead generation and other startup business activities, do not fail to connect with me. Subscribe to this channel and wish you all the best. Take care.